going. All right, so what we got here is a depiction of our Earth-Moon-Sun connection as far as our magnetic poles. We've known that they've been shifting a little bit over a bunch of years, since about 96. And it's just been real slow. It kind of picked up a little bit of pace right there at 96. Normally it moved about, a mile a year, up to about 10 miles a year. 96 it quadrupled and it started to run away. NOAA does record them every year. A lot of the years they just kind of guess and they fill it in. And I had a conflict in between a bunch of my coordinates, and I went back and looked at it and I pulled some stuff up, and what it really looked like to me, you guys can take a look at it. Please Google search any of that. It's a good thing about the internet, we just find whatever we want. Is that they backed up and smoothed them out so it didn't look like such a drastic spike. Now what I wanted you to see is that we had this alignment that all the ancients, they drew it we followed everything in hieroglyphics all the way down to when Saturn lined up with Sagittarius, and what it did is it opened its rings up, and its rings are supposedly dysporium, holium, most magnetic property in the planet. Check this out, that it is actually used to be called element X. It is founded by somebody in Stockholm. All of the family of those magnets were all found by the kind of like the Paul of the apostles. That's named the Paul, Theodore, Marcus, the guys that were really depicted and drawn out as, the clone of the, whatever the Messiah was in their religion. So across the whole world, drawn out, left just like that. And then on top of that, they're all from Stockholm, the people the scientists that founded those items. And then on top of that, right here we have holium, which was element number 67. It bonded with element number 66 as a six-sided crystal. It is molecular weight was atomic weight was 164.93. It's the Book of the Devil, the Codex, was from Stockholm as well, 800 years earlier, and its weight was 165 pounds. So those matched. The densities matched. The dimensions. All these stuff matched. Like it was planned ahead of time. Now, what I want you to see here is that our poles flipped 180 degrees at my house on one day, on the 23rd of December. And I thought they flipped all the way, and it's what it looked like. I was reading south where north was supposed to go. I just want you to see this first before we get started, because it's going to make a little more sense what really happened. When you have a million trillion tons of iron that's spinning, the magnetic field just doesn't flip and stop and do all that instantly. We do have all of our rocks and things that are in our geographic locations that are going to kind of stay the same. Now, these are real weak, and you're going to see that. It's right next to metal. If you ever see something not pulled next to metal, you don't see it. And I've never seen this in my entire life. Put a hammer next to it, it's not even flipping around. They're not even moving. And the reason that everything twisted and turned, and why y'all should be very concerned about this, and it's the same reason we had those 100 floods. When you lose your magnetic connection, the Earth, Sun, Moon magnetic connection, all of a sudden the tides aren't rolling right. We got all those floods. It's gonna get worse. Now things aren't stirring properly. Our magnetic field obviously protects us from the sun. And then on top of that, we have all this weight that's sloshing to one side. And, magnetics is what makes our earthquakes go. It is not, has nothing to do, well, the tectonic plate shifting, is so minor, it just leaks out there because that's the weakest link. Really think a 2 millimeter a year over 300 years, that is only 30 inches, puts a 700 foot wave over Japan, 6,000 miles away from Washington State. I don't think so. That's ridiculous. What happens is you have a solar flare and it fluxes and the Earth burps its magnetic, force out, and it blows that water. It hits everything along the way. Every element, is somewhat magnetic, or has that draw, that force. Obviously some of them are more acceptable to catch that than others, but like the iron, those things where the volcanic rocks are all there, we know where it comes out and the direction of the pull when lava flows, because it seizes it right in time. It freezes it right there. And so what we got here is we have such a weak connection, and magnetics flows more freely through metal than it does air, and that's why the metal will be saturated, and that's why we will send magnetic current. I'm going to show you later. We'll send it through, and we'll organize it with metal and direct it in a way. You wouldn't try to stop electricity with a big copper sheet and hope it didn't go through it, and that's really the same thing. So right here it's just sitting there. It's the Earth, Moon, Sun connection, and this is what happened, folks. And we had a planetary object that was coming in, and it came in somewhere around November and October, and it was supposed to not get to Jupiter till about 2019, 2020. And when this connection, it lined up to Sagittarius A, Scorpius, both through the rings of Jupiter, through there, through our sun, through us, on a cross, through our moon. 90 degrees, the most stressful possible planetary alignment to us was Jupiter, Mars, Venus. We had Mercury over there by the sun. We had Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus behind us, drawing all this current to us. And we became instantly the biggest electromagnetic body that we could fathom. And it went right through us. And I've got this magnet right here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you. If I draw a connection, the Earth is over here. The Earth is not magnetic. It's ferromagnetic. It can hold a little bit of a magnetic charge, but it really needs the magnetism from the moon to do it. And if you look at this setup, and you know how a Tesla coil or any of those things work, when you spin a magnet next to a conductor, and you can call the sun hydrogen all you want, or a nuclear fusion or whatever, but every single ancient civilization drew the sun, God, and gold as the same symbol. Mercury, newest planet closest to it. What does gold turn into when it decays? It goes into something. But I want you to also look into what would happen if the sun was hydrogen and 5 billion years old. It would go through 430 million half-lives. It's got a 12-year system. It's definitely not helium. That's a 90-second half-life. Be there and gone. Our suns, look into history, astronomy, mythology, anywhere across the world we went through. The Egypts went through, Horus and then Osiris and Horus and Set and all these people, Ra. And we went through all these people because our suns don't stay there. They rotate very freely. And I'm going to show you later. You can look on my site and on religionisscience.com, and I'm putting it on in there, the cycles. We lose these battles. It's what the holidays are all about. It's so we don't forget this stuff. It's not about eating cake. It's about the battle between the hunt to the sun and all those things that we just passed. And they're real events. They're all astronomical. But so when that planetary object that came close, and that planetary object that could be that same element that is pictated as the book of the devil, that's weighed out like that. Even the founder's name was the scientists they matched. They had the same color, same shape. They even were even their lifestyle. In Paul Emily's obituary, male and female, because he was pictated as both. Because energy has male and female sexes in it, which you can see what that means as far as mating and the wisdom before knowledge, knowledge for type of things that will take place in the Bible. We'll break that all down as well. And it's not about having sex with with male and female people. It's about mating energies and not knowing how or being able to handle them, and greed kicking over and all those things. And our entire biblical, mythological, all those scales are all lined up just like energy, and they didn't want us to find out until we were wise enough, until we had the maturity to handle it. It's kind of like taking a map and hiding it, or splitting it in half and giving it to all your kids, a little piece of it, so they had to become peaceful before we got it. And they did that with this, and I can show it to you on my site. So, but anyway, so as this side over here, this is way out of the way. I have a magnet over here, and if you see it, it draws the force away from the moon. And if this one was bigger than this, it will draw it completely away, and this force to the earth would be non-existent. And that is exactly what's happening right now. That is why our compasses go read whatever way they want to. Whatever they just want to do, they just go. It's ridiculous. We also have, to think this isn't an issue, you're crazy. We have 29,000 billion tons of methane hydrate. If y'all have ever heard of a woolly mammoth that froze with food in its mouth, try letting out a bunch of that. It holds in at 32 degrees Celsius. I'm sorry, 0 degrees Celsius. It can be frozen and made under the water. It's made under pressure. But under 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, which we're very close to, one volcanic eruption away, and you move this much earth, what do you think is going to happen? We let out 1 more degree. Our air temperature is already over it. 1 more degree in the water. We're going to let this stuff out, and it's going to expand extremely fast. It's going to drop instantly because of the loss of energy from expansion, and it will be instantly negative 161 degrees Celsius. It's how the woolly mammoth froze. It's how all those animals in Alaska froze instantly. It's how our ice ages start. It's not a slow millions and millions a year process. You can look at Piri Reis maps, any of that. Antarctica was drawn not where it was at, perfectly drawn, things that we didn't know until the 1950s, hundreds and hundreds of years before that, supposedly in the 1500s, and it was drawn off maps from all the way back in Julius Caesar days, pre-Jesus time. So as this, you see this, they're not even affected. It's because the magnetism is not saturated in our metals right now. It's because the earth is not putting it out to the sun, and the next thing that's going to drop is going to be our magnetic field. And as soon as that is saturated and gone, you can imagine what the radiation, the amount of things that's going to happen. We cross this alignment. Everything in the world that you see, touch, smell, anything is frequency. And each of the zodiacs, and they send a different frequency, and when one crosses before the other one, it's going to make something different. It's going to cause a different effect. It's going to do drastic things. And we're walking into this right now, and y'all really need to pay attention, because we are not the fastest thing that's going to evolve. Here's your evolution. It's right here. This is why, all of the grants at the government level are not survival just because. This is a serious thing. Going to have the revelations. It's going to be, if you look at it, it is all electromagnetic scale. It is going to happen. So take a look at the site, religionistscience.com, and I'm going to film a couple more movies and give a breakdown and explain step by step so that we don't miss anything as far as the science goes. All right, hey, thanks guys.